Welcome to Power Up Memphis. I'm your host, Gale Carson, the Vice President of Community and External Affairs for Memphis Light, Gas, and Water. The aim of Power Up Memphis is to take you, our customers, on an inside tour of MLGW to share our programs and operations with you, our customers. And by doing so, we can all better understand how we function as your utility provider. Today, my guest is Regina Newman, who is the Shelby County Trustee. Welcome,
Good
Regina.
morning. How are you?
Appreciate you coming on.
You bet.
So we're going to be discussing the newly started Greater Memphis Financial Empowerment Center today, right?
Correct.
And so this month, July, we had a ribbon cutting ceremony for this great and wonderful center. So could you tell us a little about what this center is and what its objective is, how it's going to help our citizens in Memphis and Shelby County?
I'd be happy to. This is a service, a newly scheduled service for all citizens of Shelby County, regardless of income, and it provides absolutely free financial counseling one-on-one. It's not a seminar or a workshop or a program. It is help for as long as they need it. They can come for up to a year, and it is free, and it will be free, and professionally trained counselors who are certified will work with them on their needs, as well as this is to provide financial stability and financial getting on your feet with credit scores and savings and getting into a bank. We have free banking checking accounts, and just to provide financial stability to individuals and families. Hopefully this is a service that is beneficial to everyone in Shelby County and our community as a whole, and through grants and other contributors and in-kind contributions and the Cities for Financial Empowerment, which I'll explain in a minute. Okay. This is a hundreds of thousands of dollars service, totally free to Shelby County citizens. Okay,
so you made it very clear, and I read that you said that it's not a program.
Right.
So it's a service, it's ongoing. Anyone can participate.
Anyone, regardless of income.
Regardless of income. So if I wanted to participate, walk me through, what would I do?
You would call this number.
What's the number?
The number is 901-390-4200 and make an appointment with one of our counselors. The hub location is at 254 Court on the first floor in the Crane building, but the counselors operate by appointment.
Okay.
And they can schedule you an appointment because they will be rotating and locating throughout the county with a whole bunch. They're mobile.
Okay.
And that we have a whole lot of co-location partners, whether they be in Fraser or Hickory Hill or Whitehaven or Lakeland or wherever folks need an appointment scheduled, the counselors will work it out.
Okay, suppose the person is homebound and can't leave. Would one of the counselors visit at home?
We could probably work that out as well. At the moment, they're rotating so that they're like in Fraser on Tuesday or, whatever at one of our co-location sites, which include United Way and some churches and a whole bunch of other places.
So by making these organizations making these places available around the county, then people who have appointments can go to those locations, and then once they meet with the counselor, what happens?
Once they meet with the counselor, they go through their sessions, they set up a budget, the counselor follows up with them, they can re-meet with the counselor throughout the year, or longer than a year if they want. But usually 4 or 5 sessions for a year, and a lot of phone calls and coaching, and someone there, like Weight Watchers, someone there when you need them to call. We want to meet our clients where they are, both financially and physically.
Okay. So how many counselors will you have?
We have 4 counselors. They have been certified and trained, and that's to start. We hope to grow in the coming years, but 4 for now.
Okay, so you have 4 counselors, which is wonderful. But what if you have such a high demand? How are you going to meet that demand?
I'm working on more already.
So does that mean more financial donations? Does it
more
because I'm sure
grants
you have to
and
pay
donations?
I'm sure you have to pay the counselors.
We pay the counselors, and they make substantially more than $15 an hour. And there's a manager and a kind of a scheduler, an administrative assistant to help with the crane bill.
I mean, I would imagine that this is a wonderful service and that the demand is going to be high. I'm hoping that the demand will be high. So why did you all feel a need to offer this service? Is there a great need in Shelby County for financial literacy education? I
believe there is. I went to a United Way event back last fall, and something that came up from 50 different groups, focus groups within that dinner, was financial literacy came up in every group. In Shelby County, and so the United Way is a part of this. But this is actually the Financial Empowerment Center, FEC, is a program of the Cities for Financial Empowerment, which is part of Bloomberg.
Okay.
They started in New York, opened 5 financial empowerment centers in the 5 boroughs of New York. It was so successful, they went on to 5 more cities and 5 more cities. Nashville's had one for about 8 years, and it's been extremely successful.
How do you define success?
They have an entire measuring process for defining success, that over the course of time, this many people have now this much savings, and this many people have raised their credit scores 35 points, and this many people have decreased their debt. So they have measurements from the intake process to the end to measure the success of each financial empowerment center. So it was really the Bloomberg grant, the Cities for Financial Empowerment grant, was the key factor in getting this. This had actually started under my predecessor to apply for that grant, and we wrapped it up, got the grant approved, got the matching funds, the contributions, including from MLGW, which we're so thrilled about.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So how will this education and this literacy and this service be beneficial to our customers?
We certainly hope that we kind of all have the same clientele and the same customers. I know that Light, Gas, and Water serves all the public. Yeah. The trustee's office serves
430,000 customers.
Yes. the trustee's office serves all the public, and it kind of just grew out of the trustee's office, even though a lot of other governmental entities have joined in. We had a project called, and we still do, called Project Home, to help people to not go into tax sale and to stay in their house. We have a project called On My Own, which is financial literacy for teenagers for the most part. Okay. And a lot of them don't own property, but it was a very beneficial program, and it still is. This service, if we can grow people out of poverty, if we can put them on firm financial standing.
So that's the ultimate goal.
One of my goals is to run the payday lenders out of town, but that's just me.
All right, Regina. Just run them on out of town.
Please, people, do something other than that. Yeah. And so if people...
So if they better understand how to finance and save, then they won't have to go pay this high interest for these loans.
These high interest for any loans. You can save hundreds of thousands on a car loan if you raise your credit score. You can save hundreds of thousands on a house. The other thing we want this center to be is a resource center. Okay. And we have hooked up with numerous referral partners, whether they be United Way or Latino Memphis or Way Church or Life Church or whatever it is, to refer clients back and forth and have available to the counselors, our counselors, and have available to our clients any resource they need. How many people out there, when I was traveling around the county, how many people out there knew that Tennessee Reconnect was a free going college service? Exactly. Someone said yesterday at the grand opening that these services are great, but if nobody knows about them, we might as well not have them. So we will have those resources and those connects available to all our counselors for all our clients. Great. So that if somebody needs domestic violence help, they can go here. If somebody needs legal services, they can go here. If somebody needs to go back to school. So you're working with
United Way because they also have been trying to have a lot of services available for Memphians in Shelby County.
Correct.
So that's good.
Absolutely.
So we're about to end this segment. So what would you like to leave with our viewers?
Please call. please pass the word.
Okay.
Go to the website, gmfec.org.
Okay.
This is, I mean, the assessor has provided help. The city council has provided help and paid the rent. The Mayor Lee Harris has provided a counselor position, and this is kind of a joint effort with teamwork from everybody to do something free that's available as a service to every citizen.
And that's wonderful. I greatly appreciate it. Could you give that number one more time?
The phone number for the GMFEC is 390-4200, and the website is gmfec.org.
Well, Regina, thank you so much for coming on and sharing this valuable information for our viewers. And I'm wishing you much success.
Thank you.
And I'm hoping that our
appreciate
citizens can be really financially literate and become just wealthy in knowledge and in the house, and in their pocketbooks. Exactly, their pocketbooks. So again, thank you so very much.
Thank you for having me.
Okay.
At MLGW, we're working hard to make your life simpler. With our new prepay option, you have the flexibility to choose when you pay your bill. Pay a little each week or once a month. You're in control. And with Prepay's simple-to-use interface, you can initiate payments, set balance alerts, and track your balance and usage in real time. Plus, with Prepay, there are no late fees, deposits, or reconnection fees. Avoid any end-of-month surprises with MLGW's Prepay system. Come into a location and sign up today.
Thank you for watching Power Up Memphis. I'm Gale Carson, your host, and my guests on this segment are Brad Gates, who is the manager of lighting and street services for Memphis Light, Gas and Water, and Keenan Wilburn, who is the supervisor of street light engineering. So we're going to be talking about street lighting today, which is it's a hot topic. You know, we get a lot of calls about street lights, and so how many street lights do we have in Memphis and Shelby County?
About 110,000.
110,000 street lights?
In Memphis and Shelby County, and about 85,000 in the city of Memphis.
So how do we maintain 110,000 street lights?
Well, it is a complicated process, but we rely on the customers to notify us when they do see an outage, or employees also notify us when there is an outage, and then we put it in our database, and then we assign it to a crew, and then they go out and make the necessary repairs to get the lights back burning.
What kind of turn time are we talking about once a customer actually reports an outage, a lighting outage?
If it's just a typical bulb photocell head change out, it's 5 to 7 days. If we determine it's an underground fault or a knockdown, you see plenty of those around the interstate and city and all, and it's a 30-day turnaround. We usually beat those deadlines by quite a bit, but it does depend on weather and you know, other orders we may have in the system.
Well, and sometimes our customers tend to think that all you have to do is just change a bulb out. And like you just mentioned, sometimes we have underground problems, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So do we alert the customers to let them know, well, it's more than just, you know, a 7-day job?
Yes, ma'am. We put remarks in the system and updates our email database, and they get notified that we've researched the problem, and it is going to take a little bit longer than anticipated.
Okay, so I understand, you know, the underground problems that we sometimes have, but when we just have some lights that just go out, what generally causes that? Is it a time, just time to change the bulbs, or what causes a lot of the outages that we have?
Well, one, photocells. A photocell is that cylindrical piece of equipment that's on the top of the luminaire. And sometimes the photocell fails. And when the photocell fails, it creates what they call a day burner. And so that's a piece of equipment that can fail. Sometimes it's the lamp itself. That's another piece of equipment that can fail. Anytime you have mechanical equipment, at any time, especially over time with the elements of the weather, over time it'll fail. And so when our crews go out on site, you know, they have to troubleshoot. And usually, you know, they'll check and they'll change out the photo cell and the lamp kind of routinely, you know, if there's a problem, you know, with that street light.
Okay, you mentioned day burner. What's a day burner?
A day burner is when a photo cell fails and the light fails on. And so when you're driving in kind of in the area and you see like a light that's on in the daytime, pretty much that's a bad photo cell. And the reason why it fails on and it doesn't fail off is you know, that's a sign to let the crews know, okay, you have a bad photo cell.
Okay, so when a customer calls in, do they give their home address? Do they need to get something off the pole where the light is out? How do they identify more closely to what you all need to know to go make the changes?
Yeah, it's critical to give the location address, even more so than the pole number. Majority of the poles.
So every pole has a pole number?
They're supposed to. Some of the pole tags may be missing, but they are labeled with the pole number in our database. But an address is more specific, address of the location. And then the customer needs to give us a good contact information, give us a good phone number and email address. That way, if we have questions when we're out there, we can call and say, is this the right, you know, pole location? Just to double check with the customer to make sure we get the right information.
Because sometimes, well, basically the lights are not on in the day, or if they are, you can't see them, but they really light up at night. Is that how it works? The lights come on at a certain time?
Not all lights come on at the same time until it is entirely dark. Then all the lights should be on. But you may have a light on at one location, but two you know, houses down, it may not be on, depending on the lighting.
But that doesn't mean it doesn't work.
That's correct. It's best to wait till it's completely dark and then survey the area to determine if there is an outage.
Okay, so sometimes we receive calls from customers who say the lights are not working, but when staff goes out, they see that the lights are working. So when we have those kind of problems, what's usually the challenge? What's the issue? Because some customers they're adamant the lights don't work, but when our staff goes out, they see that they do work.
There's a variety of things it could be. It could be a faulty connection. It could be a weather issue, like Keenan had mentioned. It could be a possible cable problem, which is, you know, it faults or it trips, and therefore it works sometimes and it doesn't work other times. Usually in those cases, we'll make repairs the best we can, and then we'll ride the areas several nights in a row just to ensure that they're burning before we respond back to the customer saying that the repairs have been made. So we try to double check and recheck and make sure that we, you know, checked everything that it could be.
So I guess I have to ask this question because an outage that we just had not long ago, a tree, y'all know about the trees in Memphis, Shelby County.
Right.
In fall, we have outages. One tree knocked out, I think, like 8 or 10 poles out, and so wires had to be restrung and stuff. Are those the kind of poles that we have street lights on? Some of those kinds of, with the wires and the electricity and...
Yeah, street lights are mounted on what we call electric distribution poles. Those poles carry the primary. They support transformers, secondary, and also street lights. And so, how do we get power to the street lights? Is through the power flow through the cables that's attached on the electric distribution line. So to answer your question, there are street lights attached to the electric distribution line. And in this case, when a tree damages the electric distribution line, it damages the power flow to the lights. And a lot of times the damage to the lights itself, you know, where we have to change out the brackets and luminaires. And so not only will your power be out, depending on the situation, the street lights.
Light gonna be on.
Yes, ma'am.
Wow. Okay. So let me ask you about this. So one of the topics that continue to come up is LED lights. So why you looking like that, Keenan? Keenan, what kind? What's the issue, Keenan? Okay, Keenan, we're gonna start with you, Keenan. What's the issue, Keenan? What's the issue with the LED lights?
Actually, the LED lights. Well, let me start off by saying the reason why I think the LEDs are good is because, number one, they use less wattage, which means you can get the same amount of light output with less power. That's always a good thing. Anything that saves on energy is good. Number two, the quality of light. The quality of the lights for LEDs is better and more comparable to the sun. And so,
really?
yes, ma'am. So there's a term called the color rendering index. In other words, like if that LED light shines on you, you'll be able to tell. I'll be able to tell what color sweater you have on.
Well, I need that in my clothes room because the other day I had on a black jacket, and when I got to work, my pants were navy. So if I had an LED light in there, that wouldn't happen.
But the major issue against LED lights is the initial cost of installation.
Oh, okay.
You know, and especially in Memphis, Tennessee, and especially with MLGW, cost is an issue always. And kind of rule of thumb, those the materials dealing with the LED lights are about 3 times higher than that dealing with the lights that we have now, which are called HPS lights.
Okay. Well, I definitely understand about how long they last. For example, just one example, I have a LED light in a lamp by my bed, and I see with my light, I never cut it off, which I had read that when you don't cut it off, they last longer. And I'm telling you, that light has been on at least 3 years. Wow. I don't cut it on at all. It was more expensive than the other lights, but just think about how many times I would have had to replace it with regular bulbs. I mean, literally, it's been on like 3, because I don't sleep in the dark. And so the 3 times the cost for LED does not justify. Well, like you say, it's probably a budget issue.
It is, and in Memphis, when you have the low cost, we have one of the lowest costs as far as that we pay for our energy usage in the country. So when you look at that factor,
you're right about that. We do have very low energy. I mean, I know our customers. Many of them have challenges with their bills and stuff, but we do have some of the lowest utility costs in the country.
Yes, and see, when you factor that in with the less energy, and I always tell people, we are not California. We are not some of these other cities in which we don't know what type of light that they use. You know, people make this general statement that LEDs save you millions of dollars. Well, what kind of light did you have before you changed out the LED? HPS is a pretty efficient light also. It's not as efficient as LED,
but it's efficient.
But it's efficient. And so the energy difference may not be as much as some of these other cities that claim that they save millions.
The efficiency is good, but the difference in the brightness is it really major?
The quality of light is different.
Okay,
LED.
I remember some years ago, there's an Exxon right there at McLean and I think Madison, and they lit it up. I mean, it's just really bright, and so some of the residents in that area had a concern. There was a lot of light on their homes and stuff. So is that a problem also, having too much light in neighborhoods?
Well, there's what you call the photometrics with these LEDs, and what we do in streetlight engineering, we take those photometrics, and we should be able to kind of simulate how much light is on the road, the uniformity of that light, and the glare. You know, make sure the glare is not too high. And so,
So you can control that.
well, yes, ma'am. Well, we do. We model it.
Okay.
And so we have certain standards that we have to meet, and we make sure we meet those standards. And if we do, then that brightness shouldn't be too high.
Okay. Okay. So Brad, going back to the outages, what tips would you like to give to our viewers about the best way to report outages, how quickly they should report outages, and what they should expect in restoration?
I think the biggest thing is I would encourage them to report it using the website. I think it's easier for the customer.
So customers can go to our website and report outages, light outages.
That's correct. MLGW.com. There's a couple of outage notes to hit, and just type in the same information. Address, good address, good contact phone number, and a good email. And that's the best for us, because that way we get information the customer directly puts in there versus via a phone call and trying to get the right number and the right name and everything else. So I encourage them to use the web. If they do not, they can call 544 MLGW and turn in the streetlight outage. I would say as soon as it goes out, call it in to us. That way we'll get the work order created, get it to a crew as soon as we can, and then hopefully get the repairs made within that 5 to 7 day window, so to get their light back functioning properly. I would stress to use a physical address. Some use intersection. It just makes it a little more complicated for us to determine which exact light you're referring to.
Oh, great.
So I would say if you can give us a good physical number and name of a street location, that way we can go straight to that point versus like you said, Poplar and McLean area. I mean, that's a huge area, so you don't know which corner, which light or anything. So the more specific is better for our guys to get it repaired in a timely fashion.
Okay, well, we're about coming to a close to this segment, and I just want to thank you very much and share my appreciation for you all coming on and talk about street lighting for our customers. Thank you, Brad. Thank you, Keenan. We greatly appreciate you.
Thank you.
Welcome back to Power Up Memphis. Today's Power Moment is going to deal with street lights. The myth is that you can provide a general location when you are reporting a streetlight outage. The fact is, a pole location address provides better information for quicker service than providing a general intersection location. So if you could be more specific on the location of the pole, that will allow MLGW to repair your services much quicker. I want to thank you for watching today, but I want to end the show with letting our customers know that MLGW is working on a street light app, and hopefully that will provide quicker service for our customers, more convenient service for our customers. Thank you for watching Power Up Memphis.
You're watching the Library Channel, a broadcast service of the Memphis Public Libraries and the City of Memphis.